seat. Any seat, plenty of room. Yeah. Make yourself comfortable. Huh? Sit and listen. Listen a while. Listen a little while I tell you some stories. Huh? Listen now, because you never know. You never know when you might have the chance again, you know? You never know from one day to the next what news you might hear about. You know, if some rocket might be flying into your living room. You never know. There's no escaping the news. Every day, somewhere there's an earthquake, an illness, some catastrophe, and now a war. Well, the children of my old neighbors and their children, the ones who didn't leave, who didn't heed the warnings, who didn't even believe them, but how could they? The warnings will sound so unbelievable. But there they are, back there now, fighting for their lives. But you know all this. You know. So now that we have the chance, the opportunity, let's just sit back, relax, let's listen, let's watch, let's enjoy each other's company. I'll even give you some hints along the way, you know? So you'll know where we are. And let's hope that here we are safe, you know? Here we can sit uninterrupted, you know, we can relax by such goings-on. It's a terrible, no, I'll stop. Let's think about good things, huh? Only the comforting things, only because if it weren't for them having to fight for their lives, fight for their freedom, they too would be there in their kitchens, getting ready, pitting the cherries, waiting for the dough to rise, to make for their children and grandchildren cherry strudel. Imagine for a moment, I mean, you can close your eyes if it helps, you know. Imagine you're in the kitchen of a summer house, you know, in a small bungalow, maybe not too far from the beach, 6-7 blocks. A good walk if you still have the use of your legs, huh? And not schlepping too much, or a short ride in the car if you're lucky to have. You know? Imagine here in the kitchen with a simple kitchen table with the chrome legs, you know, the easy to wash formica. But now spread with an old tablecloth. Yeah? One has a few tears in it. Did I say tears? Well, you know, I meant tears, and perhaps a wine stain, you know, that wouldn't come out, you know, no matter how much salt you put before washing. Imagine that cloth here, and on top of this is sprinkled flour, and here you have a bowl of cherries that life isn't always. You know? And I've washed them, and I've rinsed them, and they've even had a chance to dry a bit. So it's a fairly warm day. You know, though I noticed some clouds forming in the sky there. We can see them, you know, through the window over the kitchen sink. But it doesn't bother us, because today is Friday, Ayres-Frederick, the afternoon before the Sabbath, our bake day. And we wouldn't be going to the beach anyway. Already I washed my hands, I put on my apron, and welcomed our granddaughter, Shayna Mädler, and smart too. That's a beautiful girl, who's also come to watch, to listen, to learn, to see firsthand how to make the strudel. After all, when we are gone, who else will remember how to do it? Huh? Who will remember anything about us? Even though we may not be the president of a country or a famous artist with pictures in the museum, still, we like to be remembered, even just a little. So, bake day. Bake day is not just for me and my Herschel, but for my daughter and my granddaughter and the whole mishpucha, and for all of you too. Now, Can she bake a cherry pie? Billy boy, can she bake a cherry pie? Charming Billy. Yes, she can bake a cherry pie quicker than you can blink an eye. She's a young thing and cannot leave her mother. You know, I heard that I first came to America, and it sounds like to find what you call now a partner. A young woman might have a better chance if she could bake, yes? You know, and not just the apple pie. Here in New Jersey, sour cherries are plentiful, but just for short season. You know, just like in Poland. And there we did so many things with the cherries. You know, we made the jam, we put them in the varenika, that's dumplings, and even the schnapps for the cherry vishniak. You know, I've got some under the sink. Fermenting now, and don't tell anybody. You know, you wouldn't want to get me in trouble now, would you? Besides, I don't sell it. I just pour it over a little ice cream, you know, for special occasions. Oh, it's delicious. And important to celebrate the special occasions, yes? And how about a bit of music while we wait for the dough there to rise? Huh? I'll turn on the radio. There's a radio over here. There's a radio over here. Well, there was a radio over there. Bei mir bist du schön, again I'll explain. It means you are the fairest in the land, and you are, all of you are. So, first, we pick the cherries. Don't worry, if some aren't perfect, when they bake, you will notice the difference. And if the yellow flesh, you won't look like you've been operating on your heart like you do when you pick the dark red ones. Wait. And wait. What is what? It's the radio. He's saying something. It's the weather. Wait. Well, at least it's just the weather. It's moving in quickly. It says heavy thunderstorms, and please to turn off the electrical appliances, including this radio, until the storm passes and the music returns. But, well, you know, Joe, so much for the music. But, quiet is good too. And these days it can be hard to find. Yeah. And I know it's too early to bench lift for the Shabbos, but just in case we lose the lights, I'll light a candle. Who wants to work in the dark? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechionu v'kimonu v'higionu la'azman hazeh. Amen. Well, summer storms pass quickly, so we can still pick the cherries while we wait. Whoa! There's lightning. Where there's lightning, there's thunder. But you know, and with thunder, there's rain. Oh yes. It's such a welcome sound when the earth is thirsty. You know? It makes me remember. I've got a little story. This one I call The Shape of Things in the Old Country. Well, back in our shtetl, our village, at the beginning of the last century, 1900, 1905, is where I grew up. And in the Ukraine, yes, which on some days was ruled by Poland, and some days by Russia. It's true. Even back then. And how history wants to repeat itself. Here now, it's raining. And back then, we welcomed the rain. After all, we were the breadbasket for the whole country, and we were in decent shape. Especially when the Tsar's soldiers forgot about us. The time in the shtetl was relatively quiet, but as you and I have just seen, quiet often comes before a storm. And storm it did. This storm, I'm remembering, began made a sound like no other sound we had ever heard before. It sounded of chewing, chewing and chewing and chewing that grew into louder chomping, chomping, chomping until you look out the window and where there was once fields of wheat swaying in the wind, there was now, is now, stubble. Like the earth has been shaved roughly by an angry barber. The sky has gone from a quiet, cloudless blue to one darkened with endless swarms of locusts. Oi, this is a plague like no other. There's nothing we can do about it. Like, locusts are raining down from the heavens and eating all of our carbs and clinging to our shoulders. Oh, we brush them off wildly and shiver from the crunch they make under our feet. And as we step on them, there's no escape except to run inside the barn and into the house. Our once lush fields disappeared in one single day. Why? Why has this plague come to us? Well, one farmer, Grosvenor, decided because he tried too hard to get his cow to mate. The baker's wife blames her husband for mixing different strains of wheat together. And another insists it's because the Rebbe stumbled over the prayers at services because his wife forgot to put parsley in the soup. You see what happens when you change the order of things? Well, whatever the cause, the descent of locusts was a disaster that definitely changed the shape of our lives. What can we do? Where shall we go? Who are we now if we cannot till the land when Hashem sends such a plague? How might we atone and win his love and kindness back? Hey, so verklempt is the village. A meeting is called by the leaders, and even the women are invited to attend, although of course, we still have to sit separate from the men who fail to come up with any ideas. One woman alone is brave enough to speak. We have 3 choices, she says. First, we can wait for the government to help us. Well, that caused a lot of laughter, that'll be the day, and don't hold your breath. For the locusts have fallen not just here, but as far as the eye can see. And suggestion 2, we work together from one field to the next, cut down what is left and turn it back into the soil. Well, that got a few and perhaps. Or, our third choice. We pack up our candlesticks, mezuzim, feather pillows, and pile them into our carts and leave the shtetl before the next plague that most certainly will come. Leave! Leave! The men cry out. Yes, say many women, leave. Why stay here when we have nothing to feed our children? And only the stomp of the Tsar's army boots to look forward to. I mean, who knows? They may even blame us and burn our fields and blame us for the plague that has befallen us. We have no choice but to take what we can and leave. And then, the leader of the leaders of our town, the self-appointed leader, raises his hand for quiet, and when quiet descends, says, we will take a vote, with each family having 2 votes if there are more than one person in the household. And then more arguing begins as to which 2 should be voting. For some grandparents stay with their families, and finally the leader of the leaders puts up his hand. Stop with the arguing. Here is who shall be having a vote. Every soul in this room, be they young or old, will have a say in what we shall do. Everyone. Even the children and the eldest. Yes, everyone. Even the women. Yes. Anyone who has a voice, who can raise their hand in some way to speak. Well, he must have been thinking of simple Sadie, who hadn't spoken a word since she walked on her parents in the act of creating her brother. But still, she could raise her hand. A hush falls over the crowd, for this is the first time in our town that women are allowed to vote on anything at all. And when the votes are counted, half the town wishes to stay and half the town wishes to go. And our family are among those who choose to stay. And what do you know? We discovered that the soil was even richer, bread loaves tasted better, and the general shape of things was as full and round as a mother's belly near birthing, until the next plague arrived that came not from the sky or Elohim, but from the government itself, raining down all sorts of decrees and edicts that made our lives even more difficult than any locusts had ever befallen us. Well, let's look to see the cherries. Well, the cherries look ready. I'll take a peek at the dough to see how it's doing. And let's turn on the oven before I forget. I always forget. Oh, it's good. A little longer is even better. And meanwhile, let's add the sugar and cinnamon to the cherries. Oh, the sugar and cinnamon together, it always reminds me of the smell of the bakery near the stop in the square where wagons arrived from other towns. One evening, during the celebration of the early summer harvest for Shavuos, I was out walking back from the market, and a horse-drawn wagon pulls up, and I see it is full of passengers. Oh my heart. Oh dear. There on the wagon, next to the driver, a man I've never seen before. Or have I? There, asleep, his head slightly tilted. Is he asleep? A bearded young man and a yarmulke on his dark hair, his kippah blue like the sky. Ah, it's my cousin Herschel, arriving from the next big town, and there he is asleep. Oh, who knows what he's dreaming of? Oh, is it me, maybe? Oh, we haven't set eyes on each other since we were little children who barely spoke. But wake up, wake up. Does he hear me? And suddenly he wakes, grabs his things, and comes off the car. And here he's coming to stay with us, to get away from, what do you call it, the conscription, yes, for the Tsar's army. His father, or my father, who asked me to read the letter. Could my son the scholar, my son the cabinet maker, the same son, could he come and stay with you, and could you protect him? For if he stays here with us, for sure he will be conscripted, and if he refuses to go, they will take him out, put him up against the wall, and not bat an eye as they say, ready, aim, fire! And then we will have no more son, the scholar, no more son, the cabinet maker, the same son. And so I beseech you, dear brother, to take him into your fold and keep him hidden from such officers of the Tsar's army. And give him a pair of spectacles to wear as he needs them to see to work, for he refuses boldly to young men, as young men do, and will certainly bring danger upon himself. Well, it was not long before we got to know each other. Oh, he would laugh about our backward ways. Oh, your floors are made of whitewashed clay, not wood as we have back home. And I would say, perhaps, but you only eat dried herring with boiled potatoes because they're so old. And we always had a little land to grow our vegetables, which He couldn't tell the difference between a potato plant and an onion, which made me laugh, but he noticed the flowers I grew. Your eyes, he would say, are as blue as the flowers of Hashem, the breath of the sky, the water of the clearest lake. And I would answer, and yours are like the wood of the trees that you make so many things from. I have a brown thumb too, he would say. And mine is green, and we would hold them up together, like so. Almost our touching thumbs to make a heart. And I could feel how he wished to touch, especially when he came into the garden and stood watching me clear away the weeds, him smoking before going back to the barn where he kept his saws, his plane, his hammer, and made the most pleasing shelves, tables, cabinets, and not a nail in them. The day he went back to his family, the conscription had stopped for a short while. The Tsar's army had been plenty successful to put down the uprisings by the striking workers in the cities. But I was given the happy task of walking Herschel to the square and was so busy wondering when he might be coming back, I forgot to give him the packet I brought. And as he climbed up and settled and the driver was about to take off, I suddenly remembered, jumped in front of the horses and said, wait, my cousin, I forgot. And the driver, he was so shocked that any would dare such a thing. He stopped before he even started. Okay, so sorry. I said, but my cousin there was supposed to take an important package, and here's something for you as well, sir. I handed the driver a small bundle of bread and cheese, and then I walked back to where my cousin was sitting and put in his lap another bundle, one with a cheese knish, a piece of cherry strudel, and a crisp apple for the ride home, and a note that said, do not forget me. I'll be here. Your cousin, with the blue eyes, you said looked like the flowers of Hashem, the breath of the sky, the water of the clearest lake, who lives in a house with whitewashed clay floor, thatched room, and garden. And then I left after thanking the driver and to return home, praying the whole way that my dear cousin would return, saying Shehekiyam in gratitude for good measure. Well, you're probably wondering how I could write such a note. Me, a girl growing up in such a small village. My father was a cantor, a holy man, and he believed and insisted that all the children, not only boys, should learn to read, write, and do psalms in Russian, Yiddish, Hebrew, and Polish. To be educated, he would say, is the 11th commandment. And not just the Torah, but all good books. How else could we outwit the pharaohs, the czars, all the tyrants who had held us captive? So from an early age at dinner, he would ask each of us to pose a question or a riddle or even make a joke. Hashem gives us minds, he would say, and like any gift, we should open them up to see what's inside. And while Tata practiced the chants for the upcoming high holidays, I kept busy with the summer planting, putting up some cherries for Wishniak, baking, yes, strudel, and sometimes I would wander out to the corner of the barn where the scent of wood shavings lingered in the summer heat along with the hay and the rest of the animals. And when my cousin did return the following month, you can imagine how my heart beat so loud I was sure that everyone near me could hear it. But Herschel was not alone. No. He brought his 3 brothers and his sister, who dreamt of words she put in a notebook always by her side, the whole mishpucha. And then he took my father, the cantor, the holy man, aside, and he told him of the terrible, terrible way the Jews were being treated in this town, and that he and his brothers and sisters were going to leave Poland and go to another country altogether. And he would like to take me with him, not just as a second sister, but as his wife, and that he would honor me and love me for the rest of my life, and take me away from the danger that was for sure coming. My father asked me if I wished to go. I could barely speak. The words caught in the back of my throat, my heart beating so hard to push them out, and just nodded my head up and down and up and down, and until the words just escaped from the air. Tata, Tata, Baruch Hashem, and ran to the kitchen and brought them both knishes and cups of tea to seal the deal. Yeah. I was never the same again. Whew. Let's check the dough. Oh. Oh. Yes. Let's see. This is the part I like. Oh, perfect. We take the dough from the bowl and put on the table. With a sprinkle more flour. And after rolling a bit, so we stretch it, you know. And some bakers say that the dough needs to be so thin you can read a newspaper under it. But I hope you don't put newspaper under your dough, because it will stain with the ink, you know. And others might say, oh, make sure not to have any holes in the dough. Well, don't worry from holes. You're going to roll it up anyway. A hole or two won't make any difference. And I'm sure you already know the secret about adding a bit of white vinegar to the dough so it helps in the stretching, you know. I know that my daughter knows how to make strudel. But in summer, her hands are so full with all the cousins visiting. You know, 23 grandchildren I have, and half find their way to her. So I try to help her, you know, where I can with a little dessert. You know. And I wonder sometimes when I look at her, would she be able to leave her home if she had to? I mean, we really thought we had to. We had no choice. And as we discovered later, it was a good thing we thought so too. Because those who didn't get out, swept up by the Nazis, and believe me, those very Poles who were so happy to hand our people over to them, also ended up in mass graves alongside. All horrible. How can heaven above, turn a blind eye to such goings on? And that's why my daughter stopped praying. But I still pray. By me, it's a comfort to keep the traditions. So we hide our precious candlesticks to benchlicht on Shabbos within the down of our pillows as we sail across the sea in the arms of our husbands. In such a voyage, 3 months from Rovno, all the way to Buenos Aires. And I barely felt Herschel's arms around me for 3 short years in Buenos Aires to have our 2 children, both boys, before I received news that my beloved father is taken ill and needs me to care for him. So I sailed back another 3 months, met the 2 little ones, and Herschel's youngest brother David, only 11 years old, and carrying inside me my daughter Miriam, conceived in Buenos Aires to be born in the shtetl not long after our arrival. 3 more years we stayed until Baruch Hashem took my father from us, and oh, dear, my heart. The day my father the sky was as white, that day, the sky was as white as the flower, and this flower, as white as the sheet he was wrapped in, the one he chose for himself. Why this one? I ask you. Because this one, on which I slept the first night of my marriage to your mother, is the one upon which you were conceived, the one upon which my life was spent both in love and in argument, in questioning truth of the Holy Word, in accepting both pain and joy of all life. This is the one in which you must have me wrapped and placed into the undertaker's box. And there he lay now. His beard carefully combed, his side curls turned, his blue eyes closed, with no leather straps or tefillin that he had wrapped round his arms before davening, morning, noon, and night. No trappings of life, not even a book of King David's Psalms. He began reciting to me before I could read. And yes, he chose the traditional 20-good one to be recited. And now as I stood before the open grave, I picked up the shovel handed by our cousin Chaim and felt the resistance of the earth that I pushed into to gather a piece to toss onto the smooth pine lid below. I thought of jumping in. I could imagine the sound of my feet upon the wood, how much louder it would be than the trickle of earth that fell below. Such a spectacle I resisted, not wanting to bring shame upon my beloved father, for he taught me to hold those feelings in, to share them only with Hashem, to know they were heard. And even in the silence that would surround me at home, where he would no longer be smiling at the head of the table, patiently reminding me that hunger was what connected us with the rest of the world, that may not have all the advantages and blessings we enjoy, his voice now replaced with the unbearable silence that so loudly said, "It is time to go back to your husband, and for my heart to heal, but never forget the Father whose eyes I would see each time I looked in the mirror. My Father, not now lay in the ground, to become dust unto dust, and for whom I say Kaddish for the next year and for each yahrzeit after his passing." Let's see. The dough is stretched. Time to drizzle a little butter, sprinkle with the ground nuts, and careful, lay out the cherry filling. Then we roll it up, very careful, using the cloth before we put it on the pan. he only glazed it a little. And he pinched the ends together. Paste a little, yeah, the top again, and right into the oven it goes. Whew. So now we have to get back to Buenos Aires. But how? How do I get out of Poland? Well, we pay off the guards is how. They expect it, and we expect to. Yeah. And there I am, on the border. Herschel's back in Argentina, and I'm me with the Kinder. Huh? The guard puts his hands up to stop us from crossing. So I reach for the gelt, you know, to grace his palm. Enough for each child. Miriam, the youngest, nearly 3, the 2 boys, 5 and 6, and Dave, the eldest, Herschel's young brother, but he was, what, 14 by now? And again, with his hand up, the guard looks down his nose and says, this one looks a little old to be your child, madam, So I comment back like I'm sharing a secret, you know, verstehst? To tell you the truth, he's from my first marriage, you know, and a little more money. A little white lie is not a sin if it's for a good reason. No? Well, that seems to satisfy him genug, and he makes the gesture waving on, go ahead and good luck with your brood of... Well, he didn't say brood of Jews, because I too could speak Polish, but I could tell he was thinking it. Baruch Hashem, I have my father's blue eyes, so he wasn't quite sure if I was Gentile, Goyish, or who knows what, but the money kept him warm, and we walked on. Wait, such a business, crossing a border with children nearly under the skirts. Mine heart, it still quakes when I think of it. Oh no, what am I doing opening the oven? No, no, don't open the oven, no. Is it on? Oh yeah, it's on. Okay. And then we're on the ship. And, oh, such dreams I have. The border guard is following me. I'm sure of it. I can hear his footsteps. Close. So close. I can feel his breath on my neck. I want to turn around, but I can't. The bag is heavy. Does he know what I'm carrying? He must know. I'm in a hurry. The papers are, I have a false ones, and the signature slanted in the wrong direction, the squiggles on the official seal, the wrong ink. I'm going to do it. I am going to turn around. I'm going to look him in the eye and ask, what? What do you want from me? Why are you following me? All right, I'm turning. Wait, where did he go? I heard him. I know he was there. I saw his hand up. Am I going mad? Oh, Tata, watch over me. Watch over me in the Kinderloch. And then I wake up. And why do I keep having this dream? Huh? This nightmare. I should get some air. I should go out on the deck. David, take the boys out, but watch them like a hawk. It's so slippery on the deck. I'll bring Miriam and sit. Oh, come on. I need some air. Mama, Mama, she says. My tummy. Yes, my little one. I'll give you some. I'll give you something. Smell the sea. It will make you feel better. It will make us both feel better. Each day we get closer to meet your papa. How he will love you. When he sees you so much, he will love you. Oh, your soft brown eyes, just like his. Oh, yes, we must be getting close to port. Look, the seagulls flying alongside. Come, Miriam. Ess a bisschen matzah, huh? You know, your tummy will feel better, huh? And then from the corner of my eye, I see a familiar dress, dark with little yellow flowers. I know this dress. And the shawl, I know too. So pale blue, like the sky on a crisp winter morning. Could it be? Could it? Leah? Leah Piate, is it you? Oh my, so lovely it is to see you. Have you been here the whole journey? Come. Where have you been hiding? It's all right, I won't say anything. You don't have to talk if you want to. No. It's me, Clara Shaw from Grosvenor. Well, Clara, of course, now I'm married to Herschel. You remember Herschel, my cousin. You know, the one with the thick glasses who arrived at Schwarz, you know. And now he's in South America where we're going. And yeah, oh, this is my youngest, Miriam. Yeah, she doesn't like the waves, no. And has yet to meet her father. 3 years we stayed with Tata until he, well, you know, oh my. And when I had to get the leaving papers, yes, I saw you at the office and thought, oi, I hope she doesn't say anything. And perhaps you were thinking the same, yes? And to have to break a commandment to get them. But Papa said, Hashem will forgive us because our purpose was far greater. And I'm glad to get back to Herschel, even though I will miss the village and all those left behind. Oh yes, those last few weeks, I didn't know for sure if I would even be able to get out. I mean, each step, an obstacle. Mr. Grosvenor saw me on my way to the station. He offered me a ride in his milk cart and took it all, and it took all my wits. Not to say the real reason I was going into town. No, I let him think it was for Papa's medicine, but my tongue was so twisted inside my mouth, all I could do was ask him about his cow, Bella, which my good fortune he was happy to go on about. But if I had even hinted why I was going, it would be all over town in no time. America? Oh, South America, no less, you can imagine. And I never would have gotten out, no, and then to sit shiver, knowing at any moment the door could burst open and the jig would be up. And Cousin Chaim, he came over to sit with us and kept whispering, not to worry, not to worry. And then he hands me a packet of what I thought could be writings or music and made such a show of it. For your memories, Clara! So loud for all to hear. For your memories of all the times your father made himself so dear to us. And then whispers, put it somewhere safe. And I did. Oh, what? Oh, it's the ship's horn. It's so loud, yes. It reminds me of the shofar sounding tikiyah at high holidays. No, it's a good sign, huh? Oh, it warms my heart to see your familiar face. And perhaps after we arrive, yes, you will come have Shabbos with us. It's a short walk from the main square on Calle de Polonia, just past that fountain with the faces of angels spitting the water out of their mouths. Oh, it makes me laugh a little to see it. And now we need so much to laugh a little. Ephraim, stop fighting with your brother. That come. But look, stop it right now. Oh, come. Miriam, say shalom to our friend. Where? Oh, she's gone. Andreas Mir. I hope I didn't upset her. She looked so worried, like someone was chasing after her too. It's beginning to smell like strudel. Eat, huh? But not ready yet. Come, Miriam. Come on. Oof. Oh. The light reflecting on the glass of my Herschel spectacles greets us on arrival in Buenos Aires as he waits on the shore for us to climb up from steerage and walk down the claim plank. Clara, Clara, he calls in such an embrace, and right away, Miriam is his favorite. And at last we are together with his brothers, his sisters, the children. I I learn a new language and a new life, where summer is our winter months and winter is our summer. Our neighbors welcome us. The sound of prayers and the glow of our candles surround us on the Sabbath. And soon our family expands with a new son, Rudy, even more bold than the other two boys already. But believe me, it was not always a bed of roses as time went on. For my new son, Rudy, age 5, and my daughter Miriam, now 8, go into town one day to follow the running of the bulls, and thirsty from the dirt in the road and the heat of the sun, they drink from the fountain. The water isn't fresh. And they both get sick. My daughter is strong and survives the fever, but my Rudy does not. I can't help thinking every day of what might have happened if only I had gone to town with them. They wouldn't have dared drink from the fountain if I were with them, no matter how much they whined. I don't blame Miriam. No, Rudy always had a mind of his own, like his father. But for his blue eyes that were like mine, the only one. I look in the mirror and they are staring back at me. What was Herschel thinking to let them go? He wasn't thinking. Rudy was so determined and Miriam was willing to take him. And Herschel said, fine, take him, get it out of your system. We won't have to hear about it every Montag and Donnerstag, you know? Nagging, mama, tata, mama, tata. And maybe, if I had given them something different to eat, you know, not so salty to make them thirsty, maybe they wouldn't have stopped at the fountain to drink, the one with the devil's horns and spitting the water out instead of the angels on the other side. That should have been the clue that it was poison. Such a hot day, and they were thirsty. If I'd gone with them, they would have come home with me. And nothing would have taken Rudy away from me. Nothing would have forced his eyes to close, his gravelly voice to stop singing off key. Hashem would have kept him here. Yes. And not buried like my father in the ground, wrapped up, all by himself, alone in the night without a light by his side. Herschel tried to comfort me, holding me close as we buried our child. It will be better, you'll see, it will be better. But still, from that moment, I felt haunted. Without a photograph, even to remember him, his face began to fade. You see, the Orthodox don't believe in photographs to be taken, for the evil eye could steal their soul. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? What was I thinking? An unbearable silence so loudly said, it is time to leave, and not just this neighborhood and the country, but the whole continent. Well, eventually, Herschel found work with the merchant marines going to North America, and there he jumped ship at the port of New Orleans and worked his way up to Philadelphia, where he sent passage for me, our daughters, our sons, his sisters, brothers, to join him in the city, what he called of brotherly love. And we did well there. He worked, I kept house, I cooked, I sewed. Remnants were inexpensive, you know, I could fashion a dress to look like the ones in the window of the department store. I would take my daughter and ask her, well, which one do you like? And she would point. Yeah. And I would draw it up, make the pattern, and ta-da, make the dress, only for far less than the price on the model. We even bought a camera and took pictures of the children, and when they arrived, the grandchildren. Hashem forgive me. They filled the walls of this house. We bought closer to the ocean, where in summer we can smell the sea, and sit by the shore. Oh, I have my sewing, my vegetable garden with an arbor. Yeah. And then, one day, I'm sitting in the kitchen, enjoying a cup of tea. And out of the blue, I hear, "Clara! Clara! Clara!" He was yelling already. And I yelled back, "Herschel! Herschel! Herschel!" Now, here's what I don't understand. How one moment I can be going about my business, not a cloud of worry or a thought of darkness, and then boom, out of nowhere, the world explodes like grease in a pan that catches fire and needs baking soda to douse the flames on the spot. And like grease in a pan, it sets my temple on fire too. It wasn't like he was calling me with affection, "Clara, Clara, Clara," as he did when I first arrived, running toward each other to embrace. No, he was like a border I didn't want to cross. Like all those borders I crossed and had to keep my mouth shut about how rude the guards were. And of course, if I said how I really felt, I just couldn't, for who knows what the guards would have said and done. And now with Herschel yelling, I'm feeling the heat coming into my hand, the chopping knife, or was I chopping? Oh yes, I was always chopping. Chopping this, chopping that, making soup for the kinder, and for him too. And then comes more booming, "What is the matter with you? This is how it must be. We have a guest. Clear off the coffee table. Too many charges. He sits in the main chair. He's the guest of honor. He's the guest of honor." Did he even tell me that we were having a guest? I mean, did he forget to tell me, or forget that he forgot, or did I forget? I mean, he expects me to read his mind, you know? One complaint after another. I want to make it stop, but how? You know? Yell back even louder? No. The heat, I feel it rising in my feet from the earth I stand on, from the very wood floor he was so proud of. Here he is shouting like he might be, you know, one of his workmen who couldn't even read. God help me, I can read. And oh, how I wanted to make his voice quiet. His voice like a dagger, like he wants to make my voice quiet, huh? So, his hand held up to stop me from speaking, like the hand of the border guard to stop me from crossing. And for a while, you know, I stayed that way, quiet, though not agreeing. No, not agreeing with them, oh no. For silence, I had learned, was not always a yes, but just a very quiet no. So I just stay at the table chopping first the celery, and then the carrots. Every carrot had a Hitler, a Stalin, all the tyrants who held us captive, who burned our books and burned our homes, who kept us from speaking, who took our children. Off with their heads! The cabbage, the beets, the onions that bring tears to my eyes. Forgetting to bite a piece of bread to keep the tears from coming. Still, I can feel the fire inside my heart. It makes me want to take the cutting knife and plunge it into him. Not to kill him, of course not, but just for a moment to make his voice stop ringing in my head in the air of the kitchen he so rarely stepped into. "Crazy, Clara! Crazy, crazy, crazy! What is the matter with you? Only a crazy woman." Why do I not just ask him? What is making you so the way you are? Where is the voice of comfort you used when we buried our child and held me in his arms? It will be better. You'll see, it will be better. But I cannot think, not in words. Not while he's going on and on, his words, "Crazy Clara," stay on the line that hangs in my head like the sheep on the line between the trees that would take so much scrubbing. And now finally, his words begin to fall a little like an unclipped corner of the sheet. And the air in the room begins to widen, like the Red Sea parted for our people. And I breathe again, the air coming into me. I feel the beginnings of words on the tip of my tongue, beginning to form in my lips, my feet much cooler on the wooden floor he'd laid down himself so skillfully without a nail in it. Each groove of the board fitting into the next one, like the two lovers we once were, fitting into each other to make each of our children. And I feel the words forming and my tongue tasting them, trying to adjust them like the spices of my borscht, with just enough salt to bring out the flavor and just enough sugar to soften the acid, to make the words sound less harsh than the ones he had exploded toward me. I stand there with the words ready now, after a long enough silence has settled in the 6-foot opening between us, to deliver in such a way that he will hear them without burning his ears, but feel just enough shame for having been so disrespectful to the woman he had so many years before declared to protect and honor all the days of our lives. And then, resisting the urge to speak to him, like I spoke to our own village idiot, Ayres-Frederick had one, I placed the chopping knife carefully into the sink and say, Herschel dear, the borscht will be done at 6 sharp. You and your honored guest can sit wherever you like. The bowls with the spoons are on the counter, and you know where the bread is. And I'll be a choir practice for the outside service from my father. Oh, no need to wait up. Sometimes a pinch of guilt is all the spice you need. Well, we have about 3 minutes before the strudel comes out of the oven, so I'm going to tell you how I got my name. I wasn't always a Clara. When I was a baby, when I was born, I was sickly, thin, wobbly. Oh, my mother was almost ready to let me die. But she wasn't sure what to do, given none of her previous children had been such weaklings at birth. I mean, was there a heaven for infants? What happened to them? I mean, would they go somewhere where they couldn't fend for themselves? And so unsure of what to do, she went, of course, to the Rebbe and said, oh, my daughter, this new one, she's so thin, she hardly eats, and yet, what am I to do? Let her just die and let Hashem take her back? Of course not, the Rebbe says. There's always a solution. Well, not always, but a good part of the time. As for heaven, there's no guarantee, though Hashem knows here on earth can be quite a challenge. My colleagues and I, we discussed this at length. What if there is no heaven? What do we do, huh? We who have suffered so have to look forward to when our time here is over, and on he kept on the subject. Meanwhile, I whimper and cry, my mother unable to comfort me. Oh, she gets a little impatient with the Rebbe going on about heaven and no heaven, so she decides to push him a little long, A fascinating subject, Rebbe. I'm sure we could talk further, but right now I'm at my wit's end about my little one. She hardly sleeps, crying here, there, so unhappy, so unwell. Well, what did you name her? He asked. Ah, yes, her name. It's Stacia. Stacia? Yes, Stacia. Well, no wonder. name like Stacia, it's no wonder she's so unhappy. But it's my mother's name. Your mother? Yes, she helps me and thought it an honor that I name her for her. Ah, that's the problem. Your mother's still alive, I presume? Indeed she is. Don't you realize it's a terrible thing to name a child for a living person? An old wives' tale, that is, Rabbi. Oh, not so much, not so much. And your mother is in good health? Well, she has a few complaints. Lately, well, a little more since the little one was born. All right, I see the solution. You do? I do. You must change your daughter's name for a spirit of her own and not depend on anyone else's for the strength of her life. Really? Really. And with your mother's name split between you and your daughter, the spirits are fighting for possession and who should have the name for herself. Oh, so I must give her a new name? Oh, precisely, and as quickly as possible. And, well, what name do you suggest? Something healthy, something open, something clear, like the breath of the sky. Well, how about Clara? Perfect. I would have suggested it myself, but you beat me to it. And then Clara, she is. And Clara is what they called me, and any evil spirits that may have looked for me as Stacia, who kept me weak or weakened my mother's mother, did not know where to look. And Clara I have been, and true to the Rebbe's prediction, became healthy and strong and lived, as you see, as long and robust life. You know, each night before I go to sleep, I hold the sheet up above my head like so, so as not to offend Hashem, the all-seeing eye of Hashem, and pray that if it is my time to join him and all that has gone before me, to be sure to take me to heaven, if there is one. And I have lived so long, I wonder sometimes if the angel of death has forgotten me. So I've asked my daughter to put both my names on the gravestone, just in case there's any confusion as to who I really am. Just to cover all the bases, you know. It's a good idea, yes? And now, an even better idea. Let's taste the strudel. Oh, schmeckt gut, huh? Delicious.